Hello, hello. It's Mary Kravitz here, and I'm going to share a little bit about speaking today and free speaking. It's the way that I grew my business tremendously, and yeah, I want to make sure that I'm passing forward some of the things that I learned along the way. Now, let me make sure I'm on the right mic. All right, I hope I am. If someone could give me a comment or a thumbs up or something just to let me know that you can hear me, that would be fantastic. Hey, Rita, yay. Okay, you can hear me. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how speaking can be profitable and why I don't just do it for the exposure. I hear a lot of people talk about speaking like they want to put it into their business and get it rolling. And they say, oh, I have to pay my dues. I have to pay my dues, and it's okay if I just do it for the exposure. And I'm here to tell you that a properly run speaking strategy, it takes some work. It takes some effort. So there has to be a return on investment, and doing it just for the exposure it's not a high enough return on investment. So what I'm going to share today is kind of how I quadrupled my speaking income. And I really figured this out a couple of years ago when I started to look at my numbers, and I looked at these break points of what I changed and what I've put in place that made the biggest difference along the way. And I looked at it, and it's like, okay, how did I make my first 10,000? And how did that go to 25? And then how did the next year that go to 108,000, which is what happened to me. So I tracked it back, and those break points, they all coincided with three things. And, first, getting on the map with the first 10,000, that was understanding clearly how to get booked. That was the first hurdle. So that was my first 10,000. Then I more than doubled it when I realized my content, this is number two, my content had to be structured in a very specific way. And then the third thing was making that offer in a way that is compelling and doesn't sound pushy or salesy, just feels very natural and sincere. So just to be clear, when I'm talking about speaking, I am talking about the strategy of no fee speaking. So you show up, you give value. In exchange, you get access to their audience. You get to make an offer. So this speaking is free for the purposes of lead generation. And this is where I have made well over 6 figures a year for the past 7 years, even through the pandemic, through clients generated through speaking. So I'm going to talk about all three of these things today: booking, then your content, then your the offer. Okay, so with booking, what I find gets in people's way is what got in my way, and that was like, how do I find these groups? And once I do find them, how do I convince them to book me? How do I make sure that I am telling them the right things? How do I prove myself? How do I convince myself? And it was just this very I felt like I was losing right from the start. I felt like I'd always get the wrong answer. And the problem was that I was approaching it as if it was like this win-lose dynamic. Like I had to prove myself. And so, it was completely paralyzing. I didn't get anywhere at all. And so what we have to know about booking right from the beginning is that the speaking inquiries, reaching out, all you have to do is ask these groups, what is their process? What is their process for booking? And once I made that mental shift that these are groups who are looking for speakers, they must have a process in place. I'm actually making their life easier by reaching out to them. I got out of that win-lose dynamic, and it just took off. Now over the years, we've developed all kinds of search strategies and referral strategies and things like that to really get your calendar booked. And this is the first thing. This is the first hurdle. I know a lot of people will spend all their time creating the perfect slideshow and the perfect training exercises and the perfect presentation, and they don't master the first step of booking. I'm teaching a course next week. It's all about that, teaching all my secrets. So if you want to look at that, I think I have the link either above or I'll have it in the comments. Okay, so that's the first thing. Right at the beginning, you have to focus on booking. Get your title squared away, but then put your content development aside and focus on booking. And more energy needs to be put into booking at the beginning, because it's kind of like a rocket ship. It takes 80 to 90% of its energy to get out into orbit. So that first push is really important to get you onto a lot of stages and get the experience and get the bumps out of the way, so that you can orbit with a lot less energy in your speaking strategy. It gets easier and easier to book. It builds over time. But the consistency is critically important. And I have all kinds of scripts and checklists and templates on how to do this that I'm sharing next week in my class. So let me make sure I'm looking at my notes. I want to make sure I'm getting to everything. So one of the reasons why it's so important to get your bookings really fulfilled is because there is something that happens when you speak, when you actually get in front of an audience, whether it's virtual or live. When you take that content out into the world and put it in front of an audience, there's something that happens to you and with the interaction with an audience that you can't predict until you get it out there. So you have to be getting lots of bookings so you can feel what works, what doesn't. Where do you get nervous? Where do you get frozen up? You've got to have more experience at the beginning, because I want you to think about this. If you book 3 speaking gigs and they are a month apart each, so you've got April, June, August, okay? And you notice in your first talk that some things went a little funky and you want to try out something different. Well, now you have to wait 2 months to try it again. And you probably will forget what those things are. And then now June comes around, you do your presentation. In the middle of it, you go, oh, darn, I forgot to make those changes. So you're like, okay, August, I'm going to do this. And then in August, you go say, okay, that worked. Now I have other things I need to do. When you have them very spread out like that, when you don't have a lot of bookings right close together, it is hard to evolve your talk to where it needs to be. But if you have those same 3 talks, and let's say you had them in a 3-week period or a 6-week period, you get that momentum, you can make the changes, you can notice how freaked out you get when you get to the offer and work on that and practice that, and you can really launch that. So booking a lot of gigs isn't about being busy all the time and having 22 speaking gigs a month or anything like that, but it is about making sure that this becomes a solid strategy through practice and repetition. Okay, so that's booking. That's my big campaign on booking and why it's so important. So the second place where my income jumped is when I understood how to structure my income in a very specific way. Now, I came from a background where I saw speaking as training, and a lot of people come into speaking for free as a way to generate clients. They come in as trainers. Maybe you have a corporate trainer background. And the fact is that the strategy for training, the idea is to close gaps in people's knowledge. When speaking for free, you have to close gaps in people's knowledge, but also you're opening up their minds to other things they need to learn. As a trainer, this feels very uncomfortable. It feels very counterintuitive. So the important thing is you don't go into your talks with that. You've probably seen people do this. It's really, really kind of gross and icky feeling is when they say, okay, I have a 22-point system and I'm going to teach you 2 through 3. And then to get the rest of it, you're going to need to buy my book, enroll in my class, whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. It really is about being able to offer solid value and then show them what else they are going to need to be successful. Because I don't care how great you are at what you do. In 45 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half, you are not going to be able to equip your audience with everything they need to know in order to be successful in what you teach and what you coach or you're in your business in general. You just can't. So teaching them something and showing them what else there is to learn is a service to them. Whether they hire you or not, they have to know, here's the good thing I've learned, and here's what else there is out there. Otherwise, I heard someone call it a false close. You try to teach everything and you try to show that they know everything and you're teaching everything and you're giving everything, and they go out into the world thinking, I have everything. And then they fall on their face because there's other stuff they need to learn. You've got to equip them with what those other things are that they need to know. Okay, so the trick to structuring the content is two things. Number one, give people solid value. You have to be able to promise an audience you are going to walk away with this, that, the other thing. Insights, evaluations, a tool, mindset trick, something that you can promise that they will walk away with. You have to do that. And then the other thing that you need to include in your content is that bigger picture of what else they need to do to succeed. That is educationally what's right for the audience. It's strategically right for your business. Love it when those things, the two things just mesh together perfectly. Okay, and so that's this. So first thing was you got to know how to book. Second thing is you've got to structure your content in a specific way that creates curiosity and desire while delivering solid value. And the third thing is you've got to nail your offer. You have to become a ninja level master of making offers. And there's people have so much emotion and so much baggage around making offers. We don't want to be rejected. We feel like it's pushy. If they want it, they'll come to me. Well, here's the thing. What I recommend you do when you think about an offer is that you think about serving people at the highest level. That's where I have to put my mind in order to hold my emotions together. Because just like everybody else, I have that fear of being rejected or being called pushy or salesy. And so I really have to step into owning the fact that when I make an offer, when I do it correctly and with respect and not about convincing or pushing, then what I'm doing is I'm committing to serving at the highest level. I am putting myself out there courageously and very vulnerably because, yes, I'm willing to be rejected so that I can serve the people who do want me. And here's the thing is that in order to serve people at the highest level, you have to offer, they have to work with you. That's the only way they can be served and transformed. They have to work with you. And so if you don't make an offer, if you don't give them, lay out the path of how they can work with you further, you're actually not working, you're not serving at the highest level. And frankly, it is the primary mindset shift I needed to make before I started my business. I literally made it 30 minutes before I launched my business, which sounds kind of crazy, but really getting this idea of service and sales, service and offers are in alignment when you approach them in a specific way. So my tip about offers, the important tip about offers is practice it 10 times more than you practice your content. Practice it 10 times more and make sure it's logistically clear. Let your audience know what to do, what to expect, where to go. Just make it clear. The people who say, oh, you know what, if they want me, they'll find me. You are making it hard for people to work with you. People who might, if you helped them, made it easy for them, they might actually hire you. So again, the offer isn't about convincing, persuading, or proving yourself to an audience. It's about taking the people who are ready for your work. They're ready to take you up on what you have to offer. You just make it crystal clear how to move forward. So I'm hoping that moves the needle a little bit if you have any resistance to making offers. All right, so that's the three things. When I saw those 3 breakpoints in my income, the getting started 10,000, the next year the 25,000, the next year 108. Those are the 3 things. Number 1, master booking. Number 2, master your content to deliver value and curiosity and desire. And then also, that third thing is is making the offer. This mastering booking is really what got me on the map. It's why I put this out there so often in my content. And it's why I teach the class I do. It's called Launch Your 6-Figure Speaking Strategy, how to book yourself solid to find hot prospects. I am teaching that workshop on August 31st. If you're viewing this from the future sometime, a recording of this in the future, then I do have this available as a digital course as well. Highly recommend you join me. I give you everything you need to book, how to do Google searches, how to get referrals, how to use other people's speaking platforms as your own, checklists, templates, pre-written emails. I mean, it really demystifies the whole thing for you. Right now it's $97. You bring a friend for free. So that's August 31st. I don't think I put the link in the description, but I will make sure to put it in the link below. And tomorrow I'm coming back here. I'm going to talk a little bit about what strategy for speaking to use for different kinds of speaking. One of the biggest mistakes people make in speaking is they will apply, say, a keynote strategy to a free stage or a training strategy for a keynote. And you really need to apply a different strategy or you can fall down. So I'm going to show you how to decide which strategy to use, how I decided, how I compared and contrasted, and then hopefully that will equip you to understand what is going to be the best way forward for you. So thanks for being here today, and I will see you tomorrow at the same time.